Hi, my name is Dan Paulson and welcome to Just One Truth. This is the third video in a series that I'm putting up called Opening Spiritual Verses. And right now I'm looking at the analogs that are used as ways to convey a spiritual meaning from things that are used in the real world, but that actually are related to something in your psyche. I've got an introduction. I'll put a link to that below, plus a few videos that lead up into this one. I'm going to jump right into it. I was on Lao Tzu and analogs and kind of bouncing around a little bit in the last video and making comparisons. And I will continue that same process. And honestly, it should be clear to anybody that's taking this path that this is not an easy thing. It's not fast. I don't think that this can be shown in a very short period of time. So it takes a little bit of time to have everything kind of unfold. But I want to cover something in greater detail now that we have moved along a little bit. And I am going to be reading verses from both the Stephen Mitchell version as well as the Gia Fu Feng version. You'll see why I like to make some comparisons between different translations. So I'm going to go to a verse that I want to teach with right now, verse number 42, and I'm going to read it from both different versions. First, from the Gia Fu Feng. The Tao begot one, one begot two, two begot three, and three begot the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things carry yin and embrace yang. They achieve harmony by combining these forces. Men hate to be orphaned, widowed, or worthless. But this is how kings and lords describe themselves. For one gains by losing and loses by gaining. What others teach, I also teach. That is, a violent man will die a violent death. This will be the essence of my teaching. Okay, before I start working on anything, let me jump to the Stephen Mitchell version. The Tao gives birth to one, one gives birth to two, two gives birth to three, three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. Okay, same verse. The Tao Te Ching is one I would recommend that if you wanted to study it, that you get a whole bunch of different translations. You're going to find that the analogs that are used in English are not going to be the analogs that were used in Chinese. And I can't read Chinese. I am limited to this. The people that did the translation may not have understood this layer 3. You do your best to translate. If you don't know that it's there, you could easily leave it behind or choose words that you think are right and that might not be the best, or that maybe they're all good. Anyway, all right, having said that, let's get started on this one. What I want to do here, first of all, multifaceted. Let's look how much is in here. Let's just see how much we can get out of here. I'm going to start with the first verse and the first one again. The Tao begot one. I'm going to stop right there. The Tao, we've talked about that. I've talked about it early on. The Tao as being kind of the flow, the way that your life unfolds. Everybody is in the Tao. And I've kind of left it at that. But the Tao is bigger than that. The Tao is everything. The Tao is something that Lao Tzu didn't really describe. And I'm not going to try to go and grab his words. Let's go a different place. Let's go from a different angle. We know a lot of things today that Lao Tzu didn't have the technology to have the knowledge available to him. We know that the universe exists and that it's all energy and that there is matter in there. But it's evolving. It is continuing to unfold. But that there is energy everywhere. Empty space is full of energy. There's no emptiness anyplace. And that humans, at some point in time within this universe, we are existing as a part of the components of that universe, the energy of the universe, the carbon, the hydrogen, the oxygen, the salts, whatever. We're products of the universe. We're offspring of the universe, and in some way, as far as that goes. Okay, so if we go back to the verse and look at it, we take it and we bring it inside, remember, the Tao, the cosmos, the all that we can't explain. We don't know how, why, or what, but we come from it. We don't know how we get here. We don't know what made us. It's the Tao, but we know that it works a certain way and that we are emergent from it. The Tao begot one. We, at birth, are the one at that moment in time that the Tao begot. Next, one begot two. That is when we grow up enough to begin to wire enough in our brains to start seeing, smelling, hearing, touching, tasting, having experiences, conscious experiences that we can recall or that we put away in our brains, that we are happy or sad or whatever. However we judge things, we begin to become not just a pure awareness, but an entity based on the way we perceive life. We are becoming two. There is now a conscious part of us, plus a subconscious part of us that is where we are putting those memories away. One begot two. So that's us. We start out in life, we start out as one and we become two. We start out as just a consciousness. As we grow, we become a conscious and a subconscious. Two begot three. Now what's happening is that the conscious and the subconscious are making decisions. And I've already talked about that a little bit. You have an experience happen and you like it or you don't like it. It causes you to feel angry or shameful, or maybe you're just judging somebody. Maybe you think you're worthless. Somehow, something, some way you are beginning to use your consciousness in a process of making decisions and choosing and feeling an emotion at the time and storing that away. At the moment you store that, let's say, I'll use mine again. Let's say you were molested and it makes you ashamed. And you put that shame away. You hide that away and you think, I got a consciousness, I got a subconsciousness, and I got a piece of shame stuck away over there. That's the third thing. This is a part of you. This is considered an offspring. This is the three. This is the third thing. Two begot three. Three begot the 10,000 things. This is where we become a mixed bag. This is where we become all of the things that we become. If we jump over to the Mitchell interpretation, the Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. That works. Good analogs back and forth. Let's go on to the next part of that verse. The 10,000 things carry yin and embrace yang. They achieve harmony by combining these forces. Mitchell says, all things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Okay, this one's a little tricky because I am not super expert with yin and yang. I know, look at what I'm using for a symbol. I was just looking for something that's balanced. Color's off too, so it's not exactly right. Yin and yang is a left and right, an up and down, a balance. Two sides of the same coin. Positive, negative. The attributes can sometimes be called male and female. But this is where it becomes sticky for me as I'm going through Taoism. Because there's another analog used predominantly in spiritual teachings that have the conscious mind being a male and the subconscious being the female. And those are not yin and yang. Those are not a balance. Those are two things that work together, that create memories that must be in balance. That is where the yin and the yang, or the plus or the minus, or the good, the bad, positive, negative, I love it, I hate it. That's where that comes into play, the yin and the yang, where the lack of balance comes into play when it goes into the subconscious mind as a stored entity based on your perceptions and your or our inability or unwillingness to forgive or to let it go, or understanding or whatnot. At any rate, so the yin and the yang is a difficult one for me to look at. But if we go to the Mitchell and look, all things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. These are more familiar to me, and I think Mitchell, having done other translations of other works, was more comfortable with using those male and female. And I like that one better because we can use this as a male, this is a female. They're not in balance. They are not. They go together, actually. They are two parts of one side. They are the controlling force, the male, the female, the father, the son. Okay. It is what is put inside of the subconscious that gets us out of balance. You can't balance the conscious and the subconscious. You use the conscious to balance what is in the subconscious. Make sense? All things have their backs standing to the female. All things are these things that we just created, and they've got their backs to the female. That means they are emergent from our subconscious and facing the male. It's showing the division between the conscious and the subconscious, the male, the female, the father, the son. In this case, it's male and female, and it's going to be soul conscious, subconscious conscious. Literally for us today, if we want to interact with it, we call it conscious and subconscious, because that's exactly what it is. They didn't know that. We do. We go there and it works. If we combine, all things achieve harmony. It's the off balance. If we're holding, I love, I also hate, that's not balance. We're not balanced. One might be put away, but it can come up at any point in time. It's still a part of who and what you are. In order to achieve harmony, you want to get rid of that stuff. But this is showing you that it's between the female and the male, that these are characteristics that are in you. Men hate to be orphaned, widowed, or worthless. But this is how kings and lords describe themselves. This one can be difficult too, but remember, we're taking it inside. So let's just call it ourselves. I am a man, and I hate to be orphaned, widowed, or worthless. I don't want to be any of those things. If I'm a man, but a king. Oh, okay. So there's a next level up. Somebody that's higher than a regular person would say, I'm happy to be orphaned, widowed, or worthless. I think what we're looking for there is to get rid of all of those inner characteristics. This isn't about the physical life. Orphaned means you're just, widowed, worthless. You're looking for emptiness. It's another way of saying getting rid of that. And it fits with the rest of the verses. It goes along with the 10,000 things. That's what we're trying to get rid of. We want to get rid of all of those things. And if we do, we can consider ourselves kings or lords because we are now in charge of our kingdom. If we jump over to the Mitchell, ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. Sounds more obscure, a little more flowery. Realizing you're at one with the whole universe. Terms like that don't mean anything to me. Yeah, of course, we're products of the universe, but I guess it's important to know that. Ordinary men hate solitude. That could be introverts like solitude. Extroverts don't. But the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness. Again, inside, ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it. You want to have solitude up here. The solitude is having all of those other characteristics gone. You want them to be away from you. You want to be alone up here in your own mind. It's all over the place. Not Not giving rent-free space to all kinds of characteristics that we have inside of us, right? Realizing he isn't one with the whole universe. The Fu Fang translation has this line that is not present in the Mitchell translation. For one gains by losing and loses by gaining. This is important. It really shores up what we're talking about, and it should become clear what it is. All of the things in life that we have accumulated is causing us issues. And at this point in time in the teaching, what we're doing is trying to get rid of that stuff. So you're going to gain by losing. Your life is going to improve by getting rid of the anchors, the baggage, the weeds in the garden, the pain, the shame, the hurt, the things you need to forgive, the things you need to leave behind, the things that have you wrapped around the axle, all of that stuff. Your life will get better by losing it. But you lose by gaining more of that. This is letting you know, again, re-emphasizing empty out, empty yourself. Jesus' stories, the one fish, throw them all back. The one sheep, just keep that one. It's the one important thing. We're trying to become really that one person that isn't tied up with all of the inner conflicts that we carry with us, that unbeknownst to us continually play out in our life, coloring the quality of our life with what we're carrying. Yeah, it's a trap. We're trying to get out of it. They're showing us how to get out. Okay, but then we have this fun line in the last one from him. What others teach, I also teach. That is, a violent man will die a violent death. This will be the essence of my teaching. We got to work with that one, right? Yeah, grab the parts, bring them in, let's go. We have to make sense out of it in our psyche. The violent man is that part of each of us that we know what it is. If you have that violent man, you'll know what it is, and it comes out. And it needs to have a violent death. This is healing. This is getting rid of your crap. The stuff that, this is, getting rid of those things that cause us to act out. How violent? Okay, the degree that you act out, or to the degree that you are holding an emotional charge against something, the harder, the more angry, or the more ashamed, or the more whatever it is, the more emotion you're going to feel when you go after. It's equal. If it's super shameful, you're going to feel super scared getting it. If it's kind of shameful, you'll feel kind of scared. It's a balance that way. A violent man will die a violent death. I'm going to infer this one. I'll let you know that. I believe that's what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with living outward. We know people that hasn't happened. So it can't be about the physical world. It has to be about something inward. And the violent man, I would have to say, is an analog for those characteristics that act out of us that need to be dealt with the same equal violence that they act out with in order to put them to rest. This section of the book is getting into healing and having us look at ourselves and letting us know that we have to get rid of those bad things inside of us. I want to go back to the beginning again. The Tao begot one, one begot two, two begot three, and three begot the 10,000 things. Imagine you are in this field. Here's a big field. And emergent from it is creation, physical creation, and it's us. Physical life somewhere we're out here emerging from somehow electrochemically and electromagnetically from that field. We're emergent. We are in that field, and we're connected with each other in the physical world as well as a little bit in that field. Why wouldn't we be? That's where we sense each other's feelings and sometimes read minds. This is the area where we have to understand it, though. This is the area where everything gets messed up because people don't understand this area. You can think, boy, I'm looking for an answer and I believe in God, and you go look for that answer and you're interacting with that field and you get your answer and you go, there, I just proved God. You could do the same thing and say, I'm going to, prove something different and you would prove it. Tonight's the night when these stars are aligned. I'm going to go engage with it in this way. Boom, there it worked. This is obviously the truth. We are engaging with that field all the time. Whatever we think it might be is in the supernatural realm. And when we think that is happening in the supernatural, we get wild. Our imaginations go crazy and we go all over the place. Pretty soon we got eternal life without even having to improve our quality of virtue or vice. When that's not what is being taught by anyone. Certainly it's not in Taoism. But this field that we flow in, this universe, when we are born, we exist very cleanly within that. If we live life and we want to experience life and produce life, we have the entire universe at our disposal, whatever that means. Whatever we can produce through our mentality, through our capacity as a human, we can produce. The more we begin putting things in our subconscious mind that interfere with what we want, the more that energy that comes through us affects our life in that exact same, under those emotional terms. And we don't know that. That field is where we're existing together and how we're experiencing life. You can't make yourself happy by making yourself happy in that field. This up here, your experience, is what dictates the experiences in the field. You clean this out, it not only makes you feel better, but it makes your life work better. It's really important to understand this field. But there's more to it than that. And this is speculative, but the field can get pretty strong. We're electrochemical creatures. We radiate somewhat, lightly into this field. We create a big field of humans as we're together. And there's a local field that we're a part of. So we're a part of the universe, and then we become humanity with this massive, whatever kind of thinking creatures over here that have this massive emotions going on. And these emotions are growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger and stronger, and people are wiring them in more and more, and they're becoming not just individual, but they're becoming universal. They're becoming a part of humanity. And that's going to do us in. We have to know that. I don't know how to approach that. Anyway, okay, I wanted to say that, and I hope that was cool on this one. So there's some analogs, there's some variations in analogs, and there is this idea that yes, we are existing in that field, that is very much a part of this. We have a conscious, we have a subconscious, and we exist in that field. And if we want our life to be different, it's incredibly imperative to understand that to change that, you change this. This up here, the stuff you want to hide away, is in between the universe and your physical life. Everything that you have available to use from the Tao that goes through you goes through all the crap you have, whether you like it or not. And you can spot it because you can see cyclically there's something tied to something you don't like that keeps triggering it. That's how you know it. But they're very personal things. You got to do it on your own, yeah. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Your path is your path. Only you know what it is. And only you could know by examining the emotional state that you have towards things or its result. I mean, you might feel good about hating somebody. That's hate. It's not good. There's a lot of issues. That'll unfold in your life, though. There will be problems resulting from the conflict up here. And the conflict up here is what they're always teaching us to go after, to eliminate that conflict, that judgment. Okay, let me move on to another verse. I don't know if I can go through here showing the analogs in any different way, but I am going to just go to verse number 64 at the Stephen Mitchell translation only. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. Okay, how fun. I'm going to start with the first panel and go over that and talk about it real quick. What we have is rooted is easy to nourish. What is rooted is easy to nourish. Okay, well, we're turning it inward. What is rooted must be going into a garden. It's going up here. What goes into a garden is our experiences, our perceptions, what we see in the physical world. Our life experience is what goes in to our minds. We process it. Then we make a decision about whether we like something or don't like something. And then as soon as we classify it at that moment and make a decision about it being left, right, up, down, good, bad, we're coming off balance. As soon as we decide upon that, we have planted a whatever it is. It doesn't say here, you can root weeds, you can root flowers, you can root fruits, anything. This is really metaphorically telling us that what goes into your mind is where it's rooted. What is it? What is recent is easy to correct. We network. The more we hang on to issues, the stronger those issues become and the harder they become to get a hold of. And the more they support other life experiences which shore them up and help continue to network them farther and farther in. The more you go along getting messed up, the harder it is to pull yourself out of it and retract from it. What is recent is easy to correct. Yeah, before you spend a lifetime practicing getting angrier and angrier about it, try to resolve it right up the bat. If you have kids that have issues or something like that and you know something's happened to them and you're reluctant to get involved or something, know this, that as long as that stays in place unresolved in their mind, it's worse. The longer it stays in place, it's not just sitting there by itself. It is acting out. It is supporting other things in life that helps it get stronger and bigger. Resolving our issues as soon as possible is important. What is recent is easy to correct. The sooner you get it, the easier it is. The longer you store it away, the harder that shell becomes. What is brittle is easy to break. There's that shell. Yeah. Take care of it as soon as possible. What is small is easy to scatter. You see, it's happening here. To deal with it right up front. Don't let a lifetime of accumulating things happen without resolving them. The sooner you do it, the easier it is. Moving on, prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Prevent trouble before it arises. Inside, inner mind, we can't prevent things from happening in life. What we can prevent before it arises is the way we process something. As soon as you realize that that's what's going on, you begin to live life realizing, I'm not going to assign values to those experiences that I'm observing that I used to. I'm going to look at them in different ways. So you are not, you're preventing trouble before it arises by not storing away anger, hatred, shame, whatever. You're dealing with it right off the bat. Put things in order before they exist. Exactly. Same thing. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. Leave it in place, it gets bigger and bigger. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. It won't go away until you start. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. This one kind of goes another direction, letting us know that if we are physically engaging with life, very much trying to poke and prod and make things happen, I think we all live life making life work like that, getting people up, getting to work, doing things, whatever it is we're doing, we kind of grasp at things and engage in life. And that's not what this is talking about. This is wanting to have life. This is wanting to go through that flow, having the good experiences. You're not looking for a boat, house, car, something like that. You're looking for inner peace, happiness. That's what you want. And if you try to force that to happen, what you're doing is engaging with that field, with an emotional state that dictates that field will interact with you in the same emotional state. It's not going to work. You have to change life up here. Life out there will flow. But there might be things that are happening, and you're not the only person involved. We think we are, but there might be other people, other situations, other things that have to unfold in order for whatever it is we're moving towards to happen, but we don't know that. Instead of allowing things to happen, and if it doesn't happen, asking ourselves why it didn't happen, and resolving the impediment. If we're trying to force it to happen, we're trying to make things are not ready. Forcing the project to completion, you're trying to make things happen before somebody else is ready, perhaps. And when they're not on board with it, it's not going to work. You're going to ruin what was almost ripe. This is just teaching you to let things be. Don't force things to become up here what you need to be, and life will unfold. But to pay attention. If life is unfolding and you haven't paid attention here and you don't like what's unfolding, use that as the mechanism to look up here. Remember, that's the wheel cycling around the hub that you have up here. Use all of these techniques to self-observe, looking at your own cyclical things and then finding out what the roots are, what got put in place that didn't get pulled out that now needs to be gardened. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. Okay, it's kind of what we were just talking about, huh? The just allowing things to take their course, not pushing, not forcing it. Understanding and realizing at some point that what is happening out there is because of what started in here long ago. That what is unfolding now is the final manifestation of things that have already been growing and fruiting, and that if the manifestation, your life, isn't okay, you got to go take care of the garden, because that is what is going to change the future fruits. You can't change the current fruits. And as long as you focus on the current life, the current situation, the current things that you have angst over, you're not going to improve the future. It's a fun thing. Okay. The point here, though, is to just allow all that to happen and to remain calm at the end and as at the beginning. That sounds like a cycle right there, right? Let things take their course and stay calm at the beginning and stay calm at the end of them. You have nothing, thus you have nothing to lose. This is not physical property. This is things that you hold inside of you. You have nobody's going to trigger you. You don't have any fears, things that you're holding inside of you that are going to cause you to be triggered. You have nothing, thus you have nothing to lose. I'm going to go there with that one. That's an inner one. I don't know. I might have to look at interpretation differences translation differences, but we'll go with that for now. And moving then on to what he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. The desire is non-desire. Don't be connected to, don't have a Don't have a vested interest in the outcome of something. The outcome is going to be the outcome. Steer the boat. Don't live in angst over where it went. I don't know if that makes sense. Desire is non-desire. Certainly when you desire things, you're holding on to something, and that creates a state of anxiousness. So that is there as well. Well, we'll leave it at that. It sounds like a good thing. Don't cling to things. Don't cling. What he learns is to unlearn. Okay, right away then, that one is easy to spot. We've learned things in the past, and we have to unlearn them. That means what we've decided upon, what we've judged, what we've named, we have to unjudge, unname. That I hated is something I have to find a way to be okay with. Those that I hated are things I have to find a way to be okay with. All of those transitions have to take place from where we store the emotion for that. That's our offspring. We have to change that. We have to heal that. Okay, and also unlearning doesn't literally mean it's gone out of your mind. What that means is something that I once believed, I now believe something different about. You haven't literally unlearned it. You've simply changed its state of existence from I hated it to I don't anymore, to I was ashamed and I've forgiven. That's the unlearning that you're doing, which changes the flow in life and the way you feel. Remind people of who they have always been. The people who they've always been. The people are the characteristics inside. The analog there is the people. These parts are playing out inside of us. Again, I'll say that. Those people were not an issue before they became what they became. Does that make sense? Purity was there first, and it's still there. It is only the judgment that you hold in place that if you get rid of that judgment, the purity is re-exposed again. Okay, and then he cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. Yeah, if you position yourself and understand that this is what is going on and step back from being connected to this stuff, I don't know what it cares for all things. You care for all things inside of you. You can take care of all of the things. Yeah. You're looking for what Jesus would call righteousness. You're looking for purity. You're looking for nirvana. When you care nothing about the Tao, this path, this working. I'm going to go here with Jesus on one. There's one that I'm going to paraphrase again. You can blaspheme the Father and be forgiven. You can blaspheme the Son and be forgiven, but you can't blaspheme the Holy Ghost and be forgiven. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, conscious, subconscious, unified field. You can have your mind or your subconscious completely trashed and you can rectify those. But if you deny the existence, or if you don't address how you function within that field, or you deny that field and you hold things inside of you, then your life isn't going to change. It's not going to unfold in the manner in which you are trying to head towards. This field is really important. It's really not emphasized in today's society, but it was back then, and it is there. And it is the reason that people think everything that their minds can imagine, and that it's all true, and that they can prove it to themselves. Yeah, definitely. I see that. We can make any new religion and it would get the same results. Well, I'm going to end this video. It went into that range where I'm going to try to keep it down to. But I wanted to work more with the analogs, kind of showing how the pieces and parts translate into what is up here and how they can be variable. But that is not what we're looking for necessarily, those pieces and parts. The wheels and the marriage and the things like that, we're looking for the effect, because those analogs are going to change and become something different. Something that grows cyclically is going to be like a wheel. So it's hard to see that they're the same thing if you look at them physically. But when you look at what they're doing inside of you, if they're a component part of you, then you realize, oh, there's something that is coming back over and over again. Then it begins to unlock that way. And it still takes a while to kind of grow into it. All right. Well, I enjoyed this one and hope it was helpful for you. Love one another, and I'll see you in the next video.